Just want to make sure we have volume and whatnot.
Jester, go pull
I
it
can
up.
do it right here. It's working.
Such a delay.
All right, let me turn my volume off. Well, that's nice looking at that screen, huh?
I just leave that up.
I'll assume it don't pop up on anything. We're trying some new stuff. So just give us 1 second here.
Yeah, remember you have a delay.
It is up about a minute. Okay, well, we'll get started anyhow. Good evening, everybody. We're used to saying good morning. So I thought we would do this on a weekday in the evening because this thing can mess up a whole Sunday real easy. So we'll try this and see how it goes. So anyway, a couple things I wanted to talk about this time was first, we all know that electric vehicles, lithium-ion batteries are becoming a big thing, and we had a small incident here in the borough. Last week, I can't remember what day it was, but last week, one day, we had a small incident down here in the old PPG building. There's a company down there, and what they do basically is restore computers, pads, phones, and items like that. And they do it in bulk, and there's a lot down there. I've been at the facility before and just toured it. It was a year or so ago, but they take a lot of steps down there to prevent things from happening. And in this case, they had a fire. One of the batteries started off, and if on their shelves, they're kind of stacked up a little bit. So it got more going. The employees were able to get the shelf that it's on wheels out of the building and in, outside the building at the loading dock, laying on the concrete. I got there a little while after the first few engines and whatnot, and it was burning in a pile there. I think there's some pictures. We didn't post any because I just didn't have time, but I know Southwest and Youngwood did. They were going, and we did what we thought we would do. We stood there and were mesmerized by what was happening for a minute. They had a blanket made for those batteries already thrown over it, and it was starting to discolor a little bit. So the next step was Youngwood mentioned that they had a product called Cell Block on the truck. So we got it off and put it on the ground in a bucket, shoveled the batteries into there, and threw the Cell Block on top. And then we started making phone calls. Sean Teacher was there, and he got on a phone call, and we found out that maybe we should have cooled those batteries down before we put it in there. So we kind of did it in reverse, but it was a definite learning lesson. No harm was done, and some people come out to watch, and see what we were going to do, offer advice and all that stuff, which was nice. We certainly appreciate all that. And we found ourselves now having this in town, that this Cell Block product, we're gonna purchase it. It's already ordered. Actually, it'll be here, and we'll carry it on the truck. But the thermal runaway had been done. Somebody had mentioned that part was gone. And it was just kind of the whatever was left in there. And I still don't fully understand it. But it was putting off a good bit of smoke or gas or whatever you want to say. They were off gassing, and we probably took it a little bit lightly, and we should all had SCBA on that were around where it was burning. And of course, I didn't have it on either, and nobody was on air, but that was something we probably do different next time and make sure that the building was completely evacuated because there was some residual smoke in the building from when they pushed it out. So, lessons learned there. And next time we will do it a little bit differently as usual. Now, this is becoming, it's going to be a problem in everybody's area. It doesn't matter because, whether you have, I know we have warehousing units here in the borough where they're just transfer stations basically for freight, where, you'll have batteries on there from, whether it's tools, hand tools, drills and saws and such like that, because everything's battery. Right. Or these scooters. There's all kind of stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to scale from watch size to almost a brick size.
Right. And depending on what it is what, what's in there to cause us more problems than not. And of course, we all have, I'm sure there's electric vehicles that travel through people's area every day, and they're becoming more and more. And what do we do with them? Electric vehicle fire, what are we going to do with it? Are we just going to put water on it? Or are we going to let it burn? Or are we going to, we're going to put it in a safe place, obviously, get it in a safe place. We've discussed this for a house fire, maybe a garage, starts in the garage, the car starts on fire in the garage. What are you going to do? You're going to knock the fire down, protect somebody, get them in there with a chain and get that car out of the garage. If the battery compartment's burning. Right. Because the front of the car, if the batteries aren't on fire, then it's just like a regular car fire. Right. I was watching something or other, you become a fireman on YouTube by watching these YouTube videos. And the suggestion was that, if that battery compartment's not on fire yet, get the fire out before it gets there. But, and one of the things was get it in a safe area and let it go.
Well, even back to the first episode when you had Bill on here, that structure fire, there was a Tesla sitting right outside.
There was.
And we were treating it like a neighboring house, like it's an exposure, like keeping that thing cool so it didn't get those batteries hot and
there was
light off.
And the front of that car melted right off.
It did.
I mean, not very long, it melted right off. But so this is the thing. And I don't know, and anybody can get on here or correct me if I'm wrong, that anybody in the area is an expert on this lithium-ion battery business. And anybody there was a company out there, the guy was, he was some kind of engineer or something, and he does with that emergency vehicle plug that plugs into the car.
Kill it.
So, and I looked at that, and that thing, so it doesn't kill the car. It disables it. It puts it in park. It doesn't kill the power in the car.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, I thought it did, but it doesn't. So you plug it in, and it puts the car in park and prevents it from moving.
Interesting.
Now, so what it does is it fakes out the charging system, thinks it's being charged, but there's an error in there from what I've watched so far. And believe me, I'm no expert there either. But I looked at that, and I mean, that might be a thing, car crashes, and it arises from, and there was a video out there of a Jeep. They believe it was a Jeep. It was up on the side of a car. And the fireman was getting in there, the firefighter was getting in there trying to put it in park, and the car started moving with him, and then it rolled over on top. Now, he was in like the void area. Now, he did get injured, but not severely, because he was in the void, in the window area of the car, like the passenger door opening. But I mean, that might be a thing. And, none of this stuff's, of course, it's not cheap because it's new. And,
right.
something will come along eventually to just say, hey, this is how you're going to handle this. and whatnot. And I'm curious to know. I know Youngwood's taken a lot of time to think about this. They have the stuff already. I think they bought the plug, and I know they have the cell block in that. And I think they've done some education more than we have on it, and it's something we need to do because, again, we do have 2 transfer stations, at least in our area, where there's freight in and out, plus this place down here, plus the vehicles traveling through.
And that's the crazy part. You don't even know what vehicles have them in there anymore.
No.
You got hybrids and you got full electric, and they have, it looks like a Jeep Wrangler. It's all electric now. So like you don't know what you're going to roll up on until you're on it.
And I know the Teslas, and I don't know if it's the new one because I don't know enough about it, but one of the things I was watching was the Tesla, and it was a tail light. It's a door that actuates. You do it from inside the car, and then that's where the plug is. So if you have to get that open, you pretty much got to break it.
Right.
And this plug came with a tool to pop it open. So that was one thing. Now the F-150 Lightning is in the fender.
Okay.
It's almost like their fuel doors. You just kind of boop and it opens.
Push it over.
And it's in there. And that plug had I guess there's a standard plug, and then there's a Tesla plug.
Okay.
Sounded like they were going to all go to some standard. At some point, everybody was going to use the same thing, but it's interesting, and hopefully, we're not the guinea pigs on the car fire too. I don't, I kind of, when we were standing around those batteries going, I don't know. I felt Sean Teacher was there, so he made things a lot better, and I appreciate that. He was kind of videoing and kind of, just talking and whatever we were talking, and it kind of made it better. And it wasn't a large scale incident where we, had all this thermal runaway and all these things going crazy. And thankfully it wasn't in the building.
Sometimes it's better to start small like that.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know what you're looking at.
I agree. We have them all small like that. We'll be in good shape. So I'm curious if any other companies are out there, obviously you're thinking about it, I would hope at this point. And, any information, any training out there? I think Jared had sent us something today about that. Is that what that was about?
Yeah, I think it was
electric vehicle safety, some kind of online training from Texas A&M Engineering. So I don't know. I might take a peek at that. I'm sure we have like I said, I doubt there's any electric vehicle experts in there. The guys in the city are Red Zone Highlands. In like the city of Pittsburgh. And I know we talked to somebody down there. Sean had talked to him on the phone, and that's where we got the advice from. But and New York gets them. Now, somebody told me that they have a 55-gallon drum. They just throw the batteries in and put the lid on it. Fill it with water.
For small ones.
Like from the scooters and whatnot. Because they have a lot of issues with that up there.
Well, yeah, and they have, it's like the public transportation. There's scooters laying everywhere.
Right, and so they have these apartment buildings where there's a ton of apartments in them, and people just put them in the hallway downstairs and whatnot, and they're going, and then they go. And then the building's on fire.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I know Pittsburgh has like those little scooters running around everywhere, and you just drop them and walk away.
So those are
the bicycles too.
Yeah, well, I forget what those things are called, but I guess that's probably lithium-ion batteries in there. I mean, and they just pull into those, and no big deal out in the street, right? I mean, well, unless you're standing on it or by it, but structure-wise and things like that, it's not. But if we're storing them in the building, it could be a problem. So anybody's got any advice, we're certainly willing to listen to it, and we'll take any advice we can get on, there were a couple comments on Facebook on the post,
Or even training. If someone wants to train, like reach out to us. I know we're more willing to.
We'll have it here.
What we can.
We'll have everybody here if we have to.
Yeah.
So that's that on the, sorry, my bad, Randy. I don't know I'm doing it. I don't have my pen to click.
He's petted. It's nice.
I was petting the table. I'm not talking to you. So anyhow, and then, so we'll just move off of that. And, you know, like I said, anybody wants to talk to us about it, anybody has any advice for us, please give it. We're willing to listen.
You gotta get it going.
But, and then the next thing I wanted to touch on is recently, and it's in the paper, so we're going to talk about it. Now, we're not going to bash and we're not going to put judgment on it, but it's something that's happening, you know, in the area, and about these different, you know, companies. The one companies aren't responding to alarms, and you know, the talk about, you know, making one large department. And I know other big townships have done it and are talking about it. And, you know, it's a tough thing. And there were several different articles recently about the whole thing. And so basically what they want to do is they want to come in and let you be firemen and trained, is the gist of it. And of course, there's arguments on both sides. There always is. There's always going to be, no matter what you have. And there's always pros and cons of doing things. You know, one of the things was, you know, the history of these stations. I mean, these stations have been around a long, long time. And there's a lot of history in those stations. And, you know, that's something that the members of those departments are worried about. You know, what are they getting by moving into this? You know, is it beneficial to them to do it? And I guess my only thing is so I don't know that it's cut the number of fire stations down, you know, or I'm trying to be careful here, so that I'm going to stutter a little bit.
Very, very hard to do.
But you cut the number of stations down to a point where you can get more members in one station, or, you know, you keep all those stations open. Where does the membership change, I guess? How do you're still at the problem with where do we get new members from, right?
Right.
You know, it would be great if, you know, this station and this station came together. So and we talked about this before, 5 guys here, 3 guys here. Now you got 8 guys. Good deal, right? You made it better. And with such an area, how many can you cut down to? With such a large scale area to cover.
See, like for me, that's very hard to judge. Like growing up in Central Ohio, like we didn't have fire departments like around here.
I don't know, you had 3 tankers and a wagon
To cover a whole county. Like there was like 10 departments in a whole county. We have 10 in a 3-mile area.
Well, it's different in different areas too, right? This area we've always said is just saturated.
It is. Very much so.
I mean, we got an alarm week past 3 fire stations. You know what I mean? And hey, it worked. Now, you know, the membership rule's gone down. It's not working so much. And again, we're in the same boat everybody else is. You know, right now we're in a fortunate spot, and you know that could change in, you know,
a week,
yeah,
a month.
I mean, any more, right? Right, and that's, you know, and I don't know how that compares to, and I don't know the demographics of Nebraska, Randy, but you know, being the density of buildings and where farmland and rural land goes, you know, there are a lot of buildings in our area. I mean, there's a lot of residents, there's a lot of, you know, commercial buildings, businesses, you know, large businesses, Walmart, and the mall, and places like that. And even here in the borough, we have a couple bigger buildings, you know, the old foundries and stuff. And Southwest has big buildings over there, you know, large Scott Electric and that Forest Hills transfer station and all that. But I know that, like, we spent some time in other areas where, you know, I might have mentioned it before that it takes 10, 12 minutes to get to an alarm. It's, you know, it's 9 miles away. That's kind of unheard of around here. I mean,
well, then you have to look where your people are responding from. Like, they can still be 4 or 5 miles out.
Right. Most of our calls are within a mile here, you know, for the most part. Like
That's a nice part of having like 1 square mile.
in a circle. Well, but I'm saying just in a circle, going out, you know, what do we have today? We had a ambulance assist up there in one overview. It's right up the street. We had a wreck out there on a bridge right down the street, you know. Outside of the few times, you know, like we were on standby over the weekend in Unity Township in Lloydsville. So that's a drive for us. That's out of our area, you know, out of our comfort zone, going around the block that time. But so what does it take, right? What does it take to cover these areas? Well, of course, we could do without, I'm sure we could do without a few stations in between. You know, if you move them and move the manpower and do that. And I don't know what the answer is for those departments. Of course, you know, you talk to some of them, and they all have different opinions and different ways to do it. But it would be great. The thought of it's great. Here, fellas, guys, girls, you be firemen. Go train. We'll make sure you have what you need to do the job. Sounds great to me, right? I mean,
Sounds good on paper.
yeah, come on down. But does it sound good when they, you know, like you said, the history of the department? And, you know, of course, and this is no secret, there's talk about building fire stations in a couple places. Some of those stations need replaced. I mean, they're old buildings and gone. And that's a good thing, I think.
I mean, we're in a modern world. I mean, you have to update things, and sometimes, you know, if you have 3 departments in this area that's not working, bring them all together, put them in one new modern, and modernize everything, and you might have a good turnaround.
Right. And that's, you know, I think that's the thought that, you know, turn a place into a fun place to be.
Right.
You can get more people around the station, and we've done that here on a smaller scale, but we only have so much room and so many things we can do here, and the borough's only so big, and that's going to be a challenge. And I've always liked the idea of what was happening, and of course, who are we to say how it's executed, because we're not there and sitting there and discussing it on a daily basis. So, you know, and do we poke fun? Sure we do. I mean, it's just the nature of the business, I guess. People poke fun at me all day long, which is fine. You know, I got big shoulders and stuff. But that would be a great thing. And I the only part I wish about the whole thing is as you're doing it and as you're looking at it, that we don't give the public safety end of it a backseat to what's happening, right?
Losing in the politics.
Yeah, I mean, and that becomes a problem. And I hope, and one of the articles that were out there was that, you know, they were going to have this big meeting with all the department leaders and the department members, which you have to have that. You can't just have, and all our politicians, forgive me, I'm not being, you know, of course they do an important job, right? Our politicians, they have other things. You can't have them making decisions though for emergency services without the input of the people performing the service, right? And it can get crazy now. You bring everybody in here, you know, you got to leave a few people at home. Because some people get really wild and want to go off on these crazy tangents about things. But if you could get a group of people that understand the emergency services, and then of course the politicians understand the finances of it, this fire business is not cheap.
Not at
There's
all.
nothing cheap about, the fire department. Nothing. From Jesus, just getting a guy a pager to come to a call is $500.
Radio, $6,000.
Yeah, I mean they're just crazy.
Everything's expensive.
And gear is $4,000, and that's just for pants, a coat. It's not a helmet, and it's not hoods and gloves and boots. Geez,
$600.
yeah, boots are outrageous. But so there's nothing cheap about this business, and it's getting more and more difficult to raise money. And people are willing to give to the fire department. Believe me,
Which is nice though.
we do good, but the cost to like for a smaller town, hell, even Hempfield Township, they got so much equipment and stuff. The cost of that is astronomical. We know what we have sitting out there in
It's
3
up there.
trucks and a OFI buggy.
Right. It's up there.
I seen the Cranberry Township, $1.3 million for a rescue truck. They got a big area up there, and big highways and stuff. They need a bigger rescue than we do, of course, with just 119 and 30 there. And then the occasional parked car accident. But it's big business, and to have somebody come in to offer to do that, and it does sound great.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like, where do I sign me up, right?
Right.
Let me in. But what are you going to do in the breakdown of the department? You know what I mean? Is that what's going to hurt there? What's going to, of course, each department has their own pride.
Right.
Each department has their own history, and hopefully, I hope it works out. I really do. And we have discussed the part with, emergency services. Someone in an emergency knows no municipal boundary. Somebody on Poplar Street doesn't care if Greensburg Engine 8, 23, 24,
Yeah, they don't care as long as they get saved.
79C1, whoever gets there first. Who's out here to help me? That's all people care about. They're probably not, when their house is on fire or someone's in a medical emergency or in an accident, they're not reading it. Well, which fire truck got here first? I don't think they really care. So, and that's where, of course, our pride gets banged up a little bit, when it happens. But and it happens here. Engine 8s on our alarms. A lot of times they're great, quick. They were down here first at this lithium-ion battery fire, weren't they? I know, and 24s, quick and shot during at different times, and we are the same at different times. Everybody is. And that's great. And like I said, nobody cares if it's the borough of Southwest, the borough of Youngwood, Hempfield Township. Nobody cares who's there first, especially the people that need the help. So I hope that this program works. It sounds like it's starting to move in a direction, because it's been ongoing for a while now. And I know there's been struggles, and I really see things have gotten better there, just with us and our surrounding companies. And we've put new readouts in, and they've actually changed a lot. I was surprised that some of the, when we call the companies and then we have the closest engine, what it did to those, who actually is on the alarm. And it's worked out great. And it gives us a chance to work with these other departments. And that's the other thing. We're already into the second month of this year. January seemed to be, I don't know if it's the weather or just getting over the holiday blues or all that stuff. Kind of just ran through, and, we didn't get a lot of things done. We didn't do this a lot. But I want our surrounding companies, I want to make sure that we keep up with what we did there. I don't know if that was in December we did that or not, but that we keep, training here together, whether it's here or over there or where, however. that's important. And it's important for all of us, on these alarms, whether it's visiting a facility that we respond to. I'm going to try to get us into that facility down there, and we'll get the first alarm companies over here together. But I hope that'll continue, and we're here to do that. And going into this year, I know one of our big things we're going to try to push on is recruiting, and we don't know all the answers to it. We scratch our heads every time, we try to discuss it. And it seems to be a conversation that goes around in a circle and never gets to an answer. And believe me, our communication over here is probably, I don't know how everybody else communicates in their department, but ours is pretty good. There's not much that goes on, without a phone call made or a message sent to everybody involved that, we do that. And I hope everybody's doing that at this point. But so we're going to keep it short tonight because I wasn't completely 100% prepared for this either, even though we announced it 2 weeks ago. I got a lot going on in my kitchen. So finally got the cabinet, the countertops in. My appliances are delayed again. They were supposed to be here tomorrow. I haven't had a kitchen since Thanksgiving, and it's starting to wear on me now. I can only go to a few. Billy hasn't invited me over for dinner lately, and I've been struggling a little bit. I'm not wasting away though, but we're getting there. So on the emergency vehicle, or not the emergency, the electric vehicle thing, the lithium-ion batteries, anybody that's got advice for us, we're willing to listen.
Yeah, please reach out.
Yeah, and like I said, if it's something we can get a few companies together, departments together, and sit and discuss it, and get some more information on this. And I know there's stuff out there. Like I said, we could probably watch YouTube videos all day long. It could just be another gathering for us. That and this business, like I said, we talked about in paper. I hope that's working out. And like I said, it seems to be not bad. I mean, I know we responded to a few fires with them here even recently, and things are going better. So anything we can do to help on that, or I'm sure anybody else around is willing to help, but we'll see if we can't do this again in 2 weeks and do it in the evening. I like this evening thing because we're about done, and I'm gonna go home and have a snack and be bedtime. So we'll see you again in the future. And anybody, like I said, ever wants to come on, got topics to talk about and whatever, this is a platform we can use to do it all in one place. So we'll see you again next time. Thanks.